Welcome back to this week's Self-Love Masterclass. For those of you joining this class for the first time, my name is Renee Mullings-Lewis. I am the founder of Modern Day Wise Women. I'm a self-love teacher, a coach, and an energy healer. I create programs, YouTube videos, and Instagram posts to help you have an amazing relationship with yourself. Why? Because self-love is the foundation pretty much for everything that we attract and manifest into our lives. And I'm really out to have people have what they want to have. Whatever it is that you want, you can have it, but where it all begins is with yourself. So in today's class, what we're talking about is how to be more vulnerable. I forgot to turn that off. Let me just turn the sound off. In today's class, we're talking about how to be more vulnerable. At the end of the day, all of us want to feel loved. All of us want to know that we matter. All of us want to feel good enough. And we really want to know that as we are, with all of our imperfections, mistakes, and failures, that we can connect, that people will see us for who we are and love us anyway. Getting there is not such an easy thing. Why? Because it takes a great deal of risk to actually be able to create the kind of relationship where you really feel like that other person sees you and like they really know you and like they love you unconditionally. So let me put it to you this way. Let's say you just got out of a relationship and it was really hard on you. Maybe you were cheated on, or the person said that they just weren't attracted to you anymore, or they just felt like, they're just not interested anymore. Your self-esteem, your self-worth could take a bit of a rattling. Before you actually heal those issues, it would be really difficult if somebody came up to you and said, oh my God, I think you're amazing. I really want to date you. I think I just love everything about you. You would almost question it or not believe it so much, because all of the evidence that you have up until this point says, I'm not so lovable, I'm not so worthy, the last person didn't really like me, so maybe there's something wrong with me. And so constantly you would be having that conversation yapping while also having this person trying to give you love. And you can see that with that shield up or that barrier up of you feeling not good enough or not worthy, there's not a lot of love from another person that can be let in. Being more vulnerable is actually what allows love to come in. Now, the first thing that you need to understand and know is that vulnerability cannot be a strategy or a tactic. And what I mean by that is sometimes people think, okay, I'm gonna be really vulnerable, I'm gonna say something about myself, or I'm gonna share my feelings because I wanna get that person to share their feelings or to tell me what they're thinking or feeling. If you're using vulnerability as a strategy or a tactic, it's usually going to backfire in your face, because even if the person doesn't know that that's why you're trying to do it, on an energetic level or somehow in their gut or their intuition, something is not going to feel safe and right, and they're not going to open up, or they're not going to share. Or if they do, it's likely that they're going to share for the same reasons that you shared. And so there's just going to be a lot of inauthenticity and inauthentic sharing that's happening. Now, the second thing I want to say about being vulnerable is it's important to understand that being vulnerable is really scary. And so if it's scary for you, it's scary for other people. So patience is really required. Patience with yourself and patience with anybody else that you're interacting with. You have to understand, here you are, either in a relationship or seeking a relationship, or maybe you're married and you have your own past. You have, all kinds of things that have happened to you inside of a relationship and outside of a relationship that make up the person that you are. So you get into a relationship, or you are married, and now you're joining two people with each of their issues all together. And it's not easy. People think, oh, because you have the label called married, or you have the label called boyfriend or girlfriend, that it should be easier. Or even in some cases, people think, oh, because you're single and you don't have that attachment yet, it should be easier. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is that it doesn't matter if you're in a relationship or out of a relationship or you're married. Vulnerability is tricky, it's scary, it's tough, and it requires patience. Which brings me to the next tip, or the next thing that I want to talk about, which is courage. So there is no simple fix or easy way, okay, to learn to be more vulnerable. So just totally throw out the whole idea that there's some magic pill or some magic pathway that's just going to have you open up and all of a sudden become this person who isn't afraid to risk and is fearless and can just open up at the drop of a hat. It doesn't work like that. Because of the way that we are biologically hardwired and what love means to us, the thought of being rejected or the thought of not being loved or not having love returned to us is terrifying. And it doesn't matter how high your self-esteem is or how low your self-esteem is. It's just something that we deal with. Now, what can make a difference is in terms of your self-esteem or self-love or self-confidence, is having the ability to actually go beyond the fear. Vulnerability takes an insane amount of courage. It's a risk. It's a total leap, which takes me to the next point, which is this. With vulnerability, you need to understand that there are no guarantees. That's part of what makes it being so vulnerable. You've got to be able to take risks, not knowing what the expectations are and not knowing if it's going to work out or if it's going to be okay. And there's really not much more I need to say about that. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But if you have questions, definitely leave that below. It's all about just putting yourself out there, going out there, loving hard, not knowing what's going to be returned to you, because that's what's authentic for you. All right, so I hope that this was really helpful for you. As always, if this video was helpful for you, then you know what I'm going to ask you to do. I want you to just give this video a thumbs up and share it with as many people as possible. I think there are a lot of people going through a really hard time, especially when Valentine's Day rolls around. But at the end of the day, people go through a hard time any time of the year, right? Because relationships are always changing. Also, if you're not already following me on Instagram, you definitely want to do that. Our Instagram account is booming. So many people are joining every day, and you can find me there. My handle is @Modern Day Wise Woman. It's all one word and all capital. And last but not least, if you are not subscribed to this YouTube channel right here, please make sure to do that. Why? Because Self-Love Masterclass comes out every single Tuesday. Things are getting better and better here, and I just can't wait to be with you every week. When you subscribe, I believe that an email goes out whenever I do videos, or some kind of links go out or something like that. But yeah, anyway, Self-Love Masterclass comes out every Tuesday, so you can always check back here for videos, even if there isn't an email that comes to you. And I've also created playlists. So down below in the description box of this video, you'll see that there are all kinds of playlists for like money, love and relationships, spirituality 101, and that way you can just listen to all the classes over and over again. based on whatever area of life you're working on. You guys, I've had such a pleasure doing this video. It's been so great to be with you, and I love you. I will see you next week. Mwah. Oh, my cat is talking right now. So there's a couple of things that I wanted to add that I didn't mention before. And it's this, that, you know, one of the things that you can do if you're feeling really afraid to be vulnerable is you can actually do a opportunity and cost list, or like a cost and payoff list. And think to yourself, if I don't be vulnerable, like if I just don't risk it, what will I gain from that? What will it cost me? And then you can ask yourself the reverse question, which is, if I do allow myself to be vulnerable, if I love with my whole heart, if I share my feelings and really be myself, what will that cost me? And what could I possibly stand to gain or win by doing that? And I have found in my own personal experience that usually the thing that I could win far outweighs the stuff that I'm going to lose, okay? But doing an opportunity cost list is really, really, really helpful, and that's also another tip that I want to give you. You can also do best case and worst case scenario. That's another thing that you can try. It's like, if I open myself up and I be vulnerable, worst case scenario is X will happen. Best case scenario is, you know, Y will happen. And then you get to kind of decide, like, is it worth it to risk it all? Chances are, if it's not worth it to risk it, you're either dealing, like I said, with some low self-confidence or low self-esteem, or maybe the thing that you want isn't as important as you think it is or wish it was. But I also recommend that you work with somebody on that, because I know a lot of people who are like, it's not worth it to me, but that's actually the fear talking. It's not actually them. And so they end up walking away from things that are really good for them, or things that they really want, just because they're way too afraid to face the real fear underneath it. So if you're ever questioning something, definitely talk it over and work it out with someone. Also, you can book a consultation with me. You can go and do that on my website, and I think the links to do that are also in the description box below, but work with somebody on it. All right, and that's all I want to say.